Today we're going to talk about the measures of angles of triangles. Now what we know about a triangle is that it has three sides and it also has three interior angles. We have angle 1, angle 2, and angle 3, or however you decide to label them, or they are labeled in a problem. And we know something special about triangles. We know that the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3 is going to equal 180 degrees. So if we were to look at a problem like this, the three interior angles are labeled. We have 62 degrees, 75 degrees, and then x. So if we were going to need to find x here, let me get my pen ready. What we're going to do is we are going to take the sum of all three of these angles. So we have 62 degrees, we have 75 degrees, we have x. We know that the sum of all three of these angles is going to equal 180 degrees. Now, 62 plus 75 is 137 degrees, plus x is going to equal 180 degrees. Now, to solve this equation, we're just going to build our wall and we're going to subtract 137 degrees from both sides. We're going to be left with x equals, this obviously cancels out to 0. We do our simple subtraction here, and we're left with 43 degrees. So right here, x is going to equal 43 degrees, because we know that the three sum up to 180. Now, I'm going to show you another picture here. We have our interior angles. We have 1, 2, and 3. But what we also have now is we have a new angle. We have an exterior angle, and this is angle 4. Now I want you to look at the relationship between angle 3 and 4. Is there something that is familiar to you? Let's hope so. These two angles are supplementary. They form a straight line. What do we know about supplementary angles? We know that they add up to 180 degrees. So right here, the measure of angle 3 plus the measure of angle 4 is going to equal 180 degrees. So let's put both of these two things that we learned together. We know first here that the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2, the measure of angle 3, this is all going to equal 180. This is our rule of our interior angles of a triangle. Now, based on what we know about supplementary, we also know that the measure of angle 3 and the measure of angle 4 equal 180 degrees. So again, 1, 2, and 3, you add them up, they're 180 degrees. 3 and 4, you add them up, they're 180 degrees. Well, if both of these sums equal 180 degrees, then they must equal each other. So what I've done is I've just written, so we have 1, 2, and 3 right here, measure of angle 1, measure of angle 2, measure of angle 3. We know that's 180 degrees. We also have 3 and 4 here. That equals 180 degrees. So they're equal to each other. Now, they both have the measure of angle 3 in common, so we can go ahead and delete those out of our equation because they equal each other. So we're left with the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 is going to equal the measure of angle 4. Once we know that, we can do a problem like this. So let's go ahead, let's try this problem here. We know that the measure of angle 1, so let's call this one 1, let's call this one 2, we have 3, and then we have our angle 4 here. So the measure of angle 1, we know, is 10x minus 20. Plus the measure of angle 2, which is x plus 20, and that's going to equal 7x plus 20. First thing we need to do here is to combine like terms. We have a 10x and an x. That's going to give us 11x, and then we have a negative 20 plus a positive 20. That's going to cancel out to 0. So we have 11x equals 7x plus 20. The next thing we need to do is to move all of our variables to one side. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to subtract 7x from both sides here. I'm going to build this wall. 11x minus 7x is 4x. Let me go ahead and delete that 4 there so we don't run into any problems. 4x equals 7x minus 7x cancels out, 20. Now I'm going to, again with my wall there, I'm going to divide by 4 on both sides. And I'm going to be left with x equals 5. If I know x equals 5, then I can figure out what x plus 20 is. This would be 5 plus 20. So angle 2 here is going to equal 25 degrees. 10x minus 20 is the measure of angle 1. Well, if I know that x equals 5, I'm going to go ahead, 10 times 5 is 50 minus 20. So the measure of angle 1 is going to equal 30 degrees. And now, I do know that the measure of angle 1 plus 2 is equal to the measure of angle 4. So 30 plus 25, this should be 55 degrees. But I can also substitute in here with my 5. So 7 times 5 plus 20, this is 35 plus 20. And again, that just proves here this is going to equal 55 degrees.